Alright everyone, hello and welcome to episode 10 of Watching Wolford, an EastEnders podcast where we talk about and review all of the EastEnders episodes every week. Likewise, welcome back to the Watching Wolford channel, which is more than just one podcast, as we have been making news stories, opinion pieces, and occasionally retelling some old stories from the past. But obviously, the main point here is the Watching Wolford podcast. I am your host, Ash, and I'm joined by Piggy.
Hello, hello.
As you can tell, Piggy's a little bit under the weather this week. And, yeah, otherwise, the week been good?
Yeah, the week's been good. They peel the foreskin back a little bit.
Excuse me?
To peel it back a little bit. I was forced to take notes this week. I was like, Ash, I'm sick. But he was like, I ain't having it, bitch. I'm editing this. And I went, okay. And I cried. So I'm now going to sue him for workers' rights.
Categorically untrue. I took the note this.
No, we're peeling back the foreskin. I had to take the notes.
Well, believe what you want. And,
exactly.
Yeah. You didn't ask me how my week was.
How is your week?
Thank you for asking. It was, I think it was pretty garbage. No, obviously I've not spoken about it specifically, but there's been a lot of moving parts in my real life lately. So obviously there's been a lot of jumping through hoops, a lot of like crossing the I's, dotting the T's, hoping that stuff works out. But it is going forward. Started some new meds. Started some. I think they're antidepressants. They are called mirtazapine. And they've actually helped me sleep. So
that's make you more depressed.
Obviously not the intent. No, but obviously I think might even talk about that a little bit later, as in this week Amy gets some antidepressants, and I thought it would be good to get our take on them. But yeah,
okay.
Week has been alright. I don't sound too convinced, but trust. Anyways, that has been the preamble. Let me just doing something. Don't mind me, just filling a glass. Excuse me. Essentially, we are going to be reviewing all of the episodes of week 10 of 2023. That's right, 10 bloody episodes.
We've already had 2 deaths. Oh my god.
2?
What?
2 deaths?
Yeah, flash forward.
Oh, okay.
Baby.
Yeah, fair enough. That kind of counts as 2 deaths.
Well, the baby doesn't count. The baby doesn't count because it's not 24 weeks alive, you know, Piggy. Show your fucking face. Show your fucking face. It's not 24 weeks, so you can show your hole. I'll have you know. All right? Yes.
But... And yeah, we're going to be reviewing all the episodes from the 6th to the 9th of March, 2023.
See, they couldn't put out an episode yesterday because Stacey was too hungover on Mario Day.
Kick off the episodes, we see Whitney and Zach completely detached from reality. Whit decides that she is going home and is struggling to deal with the aftermath of Peach, the baby, dying. Zach is trying to get her to open up and deal with the loss. Yeah, to no avail, really. It's, unsurprisingly, quite hard to deal with the baby suddenly dying.
He's here. Because if my baby died, all they'd have to do is buy me a McDonald's and I'll leave. I'll fucking forget it.
Well.
Oh, the baby's dead. Oh, I've got a Big Mac, thank you. Oh, you got me a Shamrock Shake. Oh, you didn't have to. Oh, you know me so well.
Well, I'm not giving anything to that. The nurse gives Whitney a memory box to remember baby Peach by. And they ask about birth certificate, but they aren't giving out before 24 weeks. Zach gets upset by this as Whitney just wants to believe it. I would comment on the 24 weeks thing now, but it comes up a lot in these episodes, so let's leave that till a little bit later. Stacey is comforting Lily over Whitney's baby and also mentions that, yeah, Mum, my skirts are getting a bit too tight, and essentially...
Oh, you're getting fat. You're getting fat. Oh, there's a fat bitch walking here. You're getting fat. You're
Jesus.
getting fat. You're getting fat. And you're
Essentially,
gonna have lumps.
the pressure and the stress and the essentially people have been taking the piss out of Lily a little bit, so that's getting a little bit too much for him. And Zach finds himself at the hospital chapel trying to think through his loss I didn't know, he didn't even get a name, so I just called him a geezer. A geezer
They
walks
should have
in
named her.
and in like the most like blokey sense, just like, oh bloody hell, I bet you're having your first. I remember when I had my first, my missus want me out the bloody room. She did want me out the room. She says I drive her up the bloody wall. And
I love this.
uh,
I understand you're not supposed to laugh at it,
well,
but I just love the dynamic of Zach just depressed, and this guy's like, oh yeah, having a child, mate. Am I right? All right. Yeah, I had my first a while ago. I thought it'd be like a slip and slide.
and then Zach obviously mouths off, sat at him, and the guy's like, listen, right, I saw you were struggling. I just wanted to help. It's a
Danny
good,
tired.
it's a
Return
good
to the
scene
square.
to help Zach try deal with some of the group. And on the other side of the coin, Whitney says that she wants to go, but can't because Peach isn't here. She continues to struggle and says that she's going to have to spend the rest of her life trying to figure out how to deal with pain. And back to Zach as he tells the bloke about baby Peach, and yeah, Zach kind of accepts that the baby's dead and tells the guy to leave it out. And this is where he obviously does that. I was just trying to help you, mate. Whitney believes that she is the reason why baby didn't make it, and the nurse reminds her that she made the right choice for a little girl. And Whitney remembers when she lost her and Lee's baby years ago, and that all the pain she suffered the first time, this time is doubly as hard. Whitney is worried that it'll happen again, but the nurse talks to her and essentially says, you don't get over grief, it just gets easier. And the nurse tells Whitney that after years and years of trying, her little boy at 7 weeks passed away too, which was hard and just one of the worst things of her life. But then she decided to adopt 2 little boys, which helped her and her family deal with the grief. The nurse leaves after she tells Whitney, listen, alright, you aren't alone. And Zach is talking with a bloke and opens up a bit more, saying that the girl was going to be the best thing that happened to him. And he isn't ready to deal with the truth. And the blokey guy goes, listen, alright, mate, I know that you're telling me, but there's one, I don't know how you feel, but there's one person who does right now. Why aren't you telling Whitney? And obviously this gives him the, this actually makes him go, oh yeah, whoops. Yep, gonna go do that now. Cheers, mate. Yeah, just wanted to highlight, both the nurse and the bloke gave a fantastic performance.
I think the guy is getting my. I think I know who's getting my underrated award this week.
Because obviously he comes in all brash and he's like all like, oh yeah, mate, my missus, I'll bloody drive her up the bloody wall. Obviously he gets that pretense, but then he manages to turn it into like a level of darkness there, where he actually just gets Zach to open up and talk about it. And obviously the nurse was just really good at consoling Whitney, and they did a really good job. Meanwhile, around the square, Sonia's at Lola's and is kind of getting everybody to drop up a card to write on for Whitney. Some people struggle to write the messages. Vi is pretty happy to write a message because obviously she gave up her kid when basically saying that Whitney had more strength. Callum's struggling because obviously he's got his history with Whitney and is kind of like, I don't really know what to say. But you know, There is an attempt.
I'd love if he put if Callum put on the note, Zach has HIV. Sorry to tell you.
Yeah. And Zach enters the room as Whitney is rocking baby Peach and they sit down together. Whit says that they're the lucky ones because they got to meet baby Peach, even for a day. The baby will always be with them forever and never forgotten because it's hard to forget love. They map out baby Peach's future like birthdays, boys, tomboys, girly girls, etc. And this gives them the closure they've needed as the nurse comes in and asks if they're ready. As Whit hands off baby Peach to the nurse, they cry into each other's arms.
I just died in your arms tonight.
One thing I need to complain about here. Zach's acting is wank.
Yes.
Because he overacts to such a point where he starts making different faces. And there's been several times in this story where he's put on a massive shit-eating grin when he's supposed to be dealing with the worst loss anybody could ever feel. Like, just go back to these scenes with Whitney where the actress Shona is doing a great job and like bawling her eyes out as Zach looks at her with a bloody massive smirk on his face. It's like, your kid's dead. Stop smiling. For God's sake, stop. Ah. I get it, alright? People have different ways of acting. This is a bit larger than everybody else's, but for Christ's sake, stop fucking smiling.
I can tell you're not a big fan of Zach then.
I used to think he was much better than he is. But this storyline's kind of given me a big kind of... You just notice some things that like put you off, don't you?
Yeah.
And him like busting out a full teethy grin. That's what does me in. Yeah. So listen, alright, Zach. To be fair, it's not like they've done a terrible job. They've both done a good job. It's just stop smiling. Your kid's dead. Like, yeah. I mean, this was your argument point last week, wasn't it? You were furious about Zach as well.
Yeah.
And as Zach and Whitney arrive back on the square, Harvey apologizes to Whit about a loss, but they both get nowhere and they both struggle. Piggy, did you notice what song was playing as they arrived back to the square?
No, it was a Wonderball.
No, it's just there she goes. There she goes again. It's like, what? It's fucking EastEnders with your musical numbers.
Oh, do you know what it should have been?
It's just... They've just lost the baby, get back. There she goes.
They should have played Legs Like That.
Oh, it's buckled me. It buckled me. It shouldn't have been funny, but it was funny.
If they played Legs Like That as they arrive back in the square, that would have buckled me.
Yeah, well, that's a niche reference that nobody's going to get. So, have at you.
We'll leave it in the description, alright?
No. Zach and Whit sit on the bench in the middle of the square as they both grieve. He apologizes for walking away from her earlier, and he says he should have supported her. They realize that they have to say goodbye properly. Zach talks about baby Peach's wedding at 25 and how amazing it would be, and starts mapping out their future family.
Sorry. Jesus Christ.
What?
We get it, your kid is dead. So why are you planning out their future?
Well,
they're dead.
Just some closure, like.
Yeah, but what happens if the daughter turns out to be, a massive fascist? Then what? You know what I mean?
A massive fascist.
Look, I'm not saying Hitler was bad.
Drug addict, serial killer, alt-right member, fascist.
She's just sat there like she's just sat there in heaven. Next door is Jesus, and she just turns to Jesus and goes, "You know, having viewed the world from up here, you know, Hitler might have been a bad guy, but he did have some good opinions, didn't he?" And then Jesus just slowly goes, what?"
Mate. Well, that was something. But yeah, they plan out this, and it's supposed to be the way to go. And Zack asks, like, "Yeah, Whit, do you see this? Like, can you see our future too?" And Whitney just says, "I can't see anything." And it's like, oh, that's crushing. She's
Maybe
that.
open your eyes.
If you can't tell, Piggy has not been the biggest fan of Whitney in the storyline.
No.
Just to make that 100% clear. There's been a lot of issues with Whitney so far. And I suppose
She's
something...
just being a dick. She's just being a dick to everyone. I understand you've lost your fascist
She is
baby.
grieving.
Yes, but even when I was grieving the loss of my nanny, I wasn't a massive dick.
Well, people grieve in different ways.
Yes. And Whitney, get over your fascist baby.
And obviously, Piggy's done a good job here and has essentially put some helpline numbers here in the document, and they will be going in the description for if you want to talk to someone about some of these pressing issues. Yeah. So there will be helplines in the description. I think one thing I'm going to try include helplines in all of the descriptions, just because, you know, it's a pretty rough world, and if people need to talk to someone or feel like they need some support with issues, obviously it'd be good to have them there. So yeah. And I'm not sure if like some notes have been deleted, but is that possible? Is that the end of the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. Zack looks glumly in the distance, reeling from the revelation that Whitney just can't see any future, and that's a duff duff. Episode 2 kicks off as Nish and Sookie are celebrating. Or at least Nish is. They've landed a deal to have a call centre in Leeds. Meanwhile, Sookie did get a text from Eve and darts off to do a meet and greet. Whit is in grieving mode as...
I think you should say meet and greet. Okay, I'll leave.
I don't get it, but alright.
Meet and greet, meet. Because Eve's a lesbian and Sookie's bisexual. Fanny, you know.
Christ. Piggy is ill, by the way. Oh, Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah, Whit is in grieving mode as Chelsea tries to comfort her till Sonia knocks on the door with a collection of letters and flowers, but Jordan cries, which sets Whitney off. Zack is taking his pills as Sharon asks him about it. She knows that he's putting off grieving, or at least putting on a brave face. Otherwise, Callum is being promoted. His secondment in CID starts tomorrow. Whatever that means. So yeah, Callum, your secondment in CID tomorrow. What the bloody hell does that mean? Obviously, we learn a bit later on, but what the... What are you saying?
Also, apparently in the next week, there's going to be some homophobia.
Woo!
The good old homophobia.
Yeah!
You know, we do tackle racism, but no, we tackle more.
We hate the gays. We do not.
We do not.
But, you know, homophobia is good to talk about because it's unfortunately an issue that hasn't been, like... I'd possibly argue that there was a period where homophobia slightly plateaued in the middle, but it's probably getting much worse now.
No. You see, Ash. You see, this is the problem. Woke media is taking over. It's taking over my soaps. Woke media. This is. It started off. It started off with Coronation Street. Then it entered my chicken curries. Now it's entering my pints, and now it's entering my soaps. Woke media gone mental.
But stop fucking making everything political. I just want to sit down. I just want to watch me soaps, and I don't want to have anything be political. Like, that's come through about 7 different acts.
He started off me, and then he ended Welsh.
I don't want to fucking look your politics like. I'm just trying to sit down and watch a soap, but I'm supposed to be looking at this little gay on my screen. Why am I supposed to look at that? Alright, this is a weird tangent, not going anywhere. Just
but like there is going to be fans who are going to be upset that EastEnders has gone woke.
They've gone woke, guys. But
which I never understand that word, woke.
Well,
like how can you be woke for accepting someone for being gay?
Yeah, but it's kind of the issue where obviously not to get too social issue here, but obviously at some point all terms become like, because obviously woke was a term that was used for people being progressive about social issues and they're like socially aware and like socially forward. But some people who don't like said woke, in quotation marks, views, will then use the term woke as like a degrading term. It's like, oh yeah, I'm woke me, I support the gays, I'm an attack helicopter me. You know, all that nonsense. So it's yeah. And a bit of advice to any of those people: change your insults, please.
Yeah, hardly attack helicopter.
Stop using attack helicopter. It's nearly coming up to a decade since that was a thing. You gotta update your issues, and then you sound a bit more reasonable when you're trying to argue about this.
Also, to the person in my school who said the 3 worst people in life are transgenders, the Taliban, and ISIS.
Jesus Christ!
I'm not making that up. Last year, sorry to go on a tangent, but last year I was talking to my friend James, and across from him was a guy called Rory, or Ruri, as it is in Ireland. And then there was also my other friend, Brandon, who was a little small fella. And then Ruri just turns to Brandon and goes, you know, I don't mind the gays, but the flag is beside the Irish flag, and I don't like that, because it should not be waving as high as the Irish flag. Also, transgender people are as worse as the Taliban and ISIS. And you're like, mate.
I hate them bloody transgenders people beheading and decapitating people and committing acts of terrorism. That's a bit of a stretch.
Like no. Taliban, ISIS, I understand. But where's the dilemma with trans people?
Yeah. But you know, social issues, people tackle them in their own time. Like some people disagree, and that's perfectly fine. Just don't become a part of the vocal minority. Or, yeah. Vocal majority? I don't know. Depends. Yeah, social issues. Yeah. Everybody's going to complain now that the Watching Wolford podcast is woke.
Oh, mate, we've gone woke before.
Woke gone that to be. Yeah, that is true.
I'll take a Barack Obama cock up the arse any day.
Because
Barack Obama, of course, is the reason why woke media is the way it is.
Indeed.
Like, for people who don't know, there was this comment on a post about Dave Bautista because he got the tattoo removed of one of his favourite childhood heroes because his mum is a lesbian and the actor didn't agree with lesbians, basically. So Dave got the tattoo removed. And then basically a guy in the comment went, I blame Barack Obama for this. He's the reason why gays are so accepted nowadays. Barack Obama. Not Elton John. Barack Obama.
Barack Obama's my favourite gay icon.
Yeah, Slay Queen.
Alright, come on, we'll have tangents. But yeah, Callum is being promoted in some form. His secondment in CID starts tomorrow. What we learn is that means he's a trainee detective. And Jack is pleased and talks to Denise about it. And she is asking and tries to kind of dissuade Jack over investigating Ravi. Just like, yeah, he's not all bad, is he? Like, really? And Sookie and Eve meet up at the Slater house, and they are about to start making out till Freddy walks in and starts asking about some petroleum jelly. And yeah, they both kind of laugh this off and go, "Do you mean petroleum jelly?" And they just kind of laugh and shake it off. Chelsea is getting hounded by everyone as Whitney is being fussed over, but she refuses all of the help. And Patrick and Vi are supposed to be going to this dinner, but Vi isn't interested. She's upset because Whitney couldn't have had the chance to have a child when Vi gave hers up voluntarily. She talked about how she wasn't brave enough. And Callum bumps him and announces that he is the new trainee detective. I know that soaps like to make a bit of a leap, but Callum's barely been a police officer for like a year, and now he's a bloody trainee detective. I'm not usually one to complain about like unrealistic stuff in soap, but he became a policeman as of... When did he become a policeman? Well, I'd say about 2021-ish. So it's only been 2 years and he's now suddenly he's suddenly a detective. Bloody get me over there. I'll become a bloody constable in about 3 minutes. And Nish is trying to emotionally blackmail Ash into staying, which Sookie spots, but then tries to get her own way. She suggests that Nish personally oversees the Sleaze development, and Nish sets Sookie on making sure that Ash stays rather than taking the job in Canada. Ravi walks into the pub with a woman. How dare he? Which Denise sees and immediately tries to get away from this, as Ben is seen laughing at Callum becoming a detective, because, like, imagine what he could get away with. Vi sees this commotion and feels proud of herself, which Leia leads to her going on this fancy paid-for dinner. In the cafe, Sookie is looking proud for sorting this out and reports the development to Eve. She walks over and talks to Ash about the new job. Ash is on the side of staying, and Sookie deploys some reverse psychology. Essentially describing, yeah, you'll do great once you become a housewife, and then you'll have a purpose like me. Which kind of sets Ash off, because she's like, I'm nothing like you. And Ash leaves, determined to go take the job in Canada, as Sookie sits there with a massive grin on her face. And see, Zach, this is where you do grin. When you do something good. When you do something sneaky. Not when your kid dies. And Zach is stuck in the kitchen worrying about talking to Whitney, which Sharon keeps suggesting, but he cries as he knows that she can't look to their future when he wants to. And Whit is home with Sonia and Chelsea as they've prepared greasy Chinese, and wine would be delicious. And Patrick and Vi arrive back from their dinner date. He's trying to make sure that she knows that she did not blow a second chance with her grandsons and should be proud of herself. She then receives a call from an unknown number and cancels. And Ash, the Panasars, and the Bakers are celebrating Ash's new job. Nish interrupts and begrudgingly accepts this and gives them a new bottle of champagne. Excuse me. And Denise and Harvey discuss their bad days as Harvey fills her in on Ravi driving this new woman to the hotel. And Sookie and Eve meet whilst getting drinks at the pub. Sookie says it's a shame that she had to fake clip her wings to let her fly, but Sookie says she's happy too, and has gotten Nish temporarily out the picture. They toast to being happy, and she smiles, looking in at Ash, celebrating, which Nish clocks and just looks really upset, essentially being like, "Ah, you bastard. You played me, you bastard." Whit, Sonia, and Chelsea are enjoying drinks, and she talks about all these cards and messages. Like, they're great, but the only message she actually wanted to hear was one from Zach, and she realizes, yeah, but I did push him away, so. And she cries and struggles to deal with this, but is comforted by Chelsea and Sonia. And in the final scene of episode 2, Nish has opened the bottle of red, but only for him, as he noticed that Sookie was clearly playing Sookie was playing chess whilst he was playing checkers, as he figured out that she asked Ash, if she was actually capable, and that's what sent her to Canada. And he says, "This is my family, and I sit at the head of the table. Acknowledge me." And this is an ominous threat which leaves Sookie looking a bit shaken as we end out the episode. Episode 3 commences as Callum and Ben are practicing. Wait, hold on. Yeah, no, Callum and Ben are exchanging a very angry stare down. They joke and laugh about all of this as they are practicing Callum's detective training. One of my more enjoyable lines is Callum very unconvincingly saying, "Yeah, if it was me and you in a locked interview room, I'd break you." And then they all just look like, "Are you taking the piss, mate?" And Nish is stressing over Ash leaving as Ash tells Sookie that she's more capable than she thinks. And Nish blames Sookie for pushing Ash away. Whit is folding up Jordan's baby clothes as Chelsea tries to get Whit to talk to Zach. And Whitney decides that she's going to ask Honey for some proper time off from her stool. Sam and Ricky have a little argument as he wants to come back from school early, but Sam is too busy and he plays the "You don't care about me, Mum" card. And Vi and Patrick are speaking in the Vic, and Vi receives another call from the unknown number, and it's Stuart. Apparently he's changed his number. Stacey is trying to get work in the pub, but is bluffed off. And Callum is a junior detective and is being called Branning's babe, which she questions if it's a gay comment, and Jack decides he's not having any of it. He says he's going to have a word over them, and he is set on CCTV to find anything confidential. Bloody EastEnders has gone woke, it has. Why can't I make a gay joke about my gay mate? It's not my fault he likes taking up ass.
I don't know why that fucking.
Yeah, the Watching Wolford channel does love the gays. True story. No, just kidding. We're gonna become an alt-right hate symbol.
Fuck the Tories. You know, Margaret Thatcher had some great ideas when you're looking at.
Zach approaches Whitney and the Vic, but before they can talk, she's whisked away for her meeting with Honey. Linda asks how Whitney's holding up, as Zach reminds her that, "Yo, I'm grieving too." And
Alright, Zach.
And Whitney's talk with Honey, it's completely unproductive, as she's given a week of sick leave, then otherwise you have to return to your stool, otherwise you will lose it. I wrote, it's another highlight of the struggle of babies like Peach, because being born under 24 weeks doesn't qualify for bereavement leave or pay or any rights. So it's a big struggle to actually, oh, are you allowed to deal with this? no, it doesn't exist. Your baby doesn't exist. And it's just, oh, it's pretty rough. And even Ash talk in the cafe, and Ash is feeling dejected over Suki's treatment of her. Ash is struggling with how she's being treated, and Eve suggests that maybe it's time to have a completely honest and open conversation with her. Honey has to deny Whit's pitch, and she struggles to deal with this because they're given no time to grieve and no time to respect the loss of a child, and Whitney gets frustrated and storms out. Callum gets given a hard drive and is supposed to go through all this as someone, probably Ravi, has been picked up by facial recognition software. And Ricky comes into the salon as he's upset because Lily isn't responding to any of his messages. He's worried that he isn't going to be a part of his baby's life, and Denise reminds him that they aren't going to allow this to happen. They share a hug and continue as usual. Ash goes to Suki and pleads with her to have a genuine heart-to-heart about leaving. She explains how if she encouraged Ash, it would have come back on her from Nish, and she asks if she's going to spend the rest of her life being a wife. I'm slightly sad that they didn't give Ash and Suki more time to have like a proper scene, like by themselves, and just like fully go into this and be like, listen, I've accepted you and I do love you, but you know, there's too many stakes, I guess. And Vi tells Patrick that Rainey and Stuart need a new live-in nanny, and that she is leaving. Boo! And Ash tells Nish that she's leaving and that they'd wish they had more time together. She says that she can't just drop everything because he is back, and neither can Mum. And Ash reminds Nish that Suki is a capable and strong-willed woman, and that once you've had a taste of that freedom, you cannot give it back. And this gives Nish food for thought, as he is now going to assign Suki a project. I thought it was just going to be Suki will head up the lead development, but Eve was not going to have anything. So I thought it was going to be like Nish not allowing Suki and Eve any time together. But was I wrong? Who knows? I was.
Yeah, he was.
Gina's gotten some more work with Stacy, and up west they go to clean a creepy man's office whose name is Alan. Creepy Alan. And yeah, Jean just kind of grabs him, is like, yes, come on, we gotta clean, we need money. And while searching CCTV, Callum finds that Denise went to the same hotel that they are tracking Ravi with, which really makes Callum unsure of what he's supposed to do. And as Ash is packing up and setting off to leave, Suki is given the leads development, which made me sad, but Nish has decided that Eve should go with her to accompany her and keep her company. Ash gets an extra big hug from Suki, and they smile and joke, saying, "Master Manipulator." I was surprised this happened. I wasn't expecting Suki and Eve to be allowed to just kind of exist by themselves.
Yeah.
But I also thought we were going to get like some like shoots like offset scenes, like in just like a hotel room, where they're just kind of just like all loveyed up. And Eve said that Nish gave her one instruction: to take really good care of her, as Ash leaves the square in a black cab. If you want to see our thoughts on Ash departing the square, go ahead and watch the video that we've made on the subject that maybe is coming out on the Wednesday. We might have to release 2 extras this week because obviously Vi left as well, and we wanted to discuss that, but obviously I'll say more as we get to it. And Whitney gets upset when she enters Peggy and sees her, and when she sees Zach and Sam holding hands, she gets upset but says, "I'm no one's problem to fix." See, he tried to give her money to help with the problem, but she doesn't want anyone's money. She wants her baby back.
Just take the money.
Yeah.
Quiet cough.
And Denise gets jealous of Ravi surrounding himself with beautiful women. And Callum sees this whole flirty / jealous conversation go down and looks pretty conflicted to round the episode out. And a lady can be heard on the screen. If you've been affected by any of the issues in tonight's EastEnders, helpline information will come up on the screen. For us, it'll be in the description. And now for the final episode of the week. Stacey is woken up at 7 by Harvey as Stacey quickly realises, bollocks, we are late for everything. She's in a rush and ends up just yelling at Harvey.
Poor Harvey.
He was just trying to be nice. She did apologise though. Vi enters the cafe and is snapping everyone's head off. She's set to tell Callum that she spoke to Stuart and Vi is going to move in with Stuart and Rainey and help and be the live-in nanny of Roland. And Vi spoos it over and Ben decides that they're going to make a fuss over it. That's kind of what any nan wants, really, isn't it?
I don't know, mine's dead.
Yeah, but when she was alive.
I don't know, she had dementia.
Not all her life.
Well, I was mostly a little kid for half her life.
Yeah, well. I tried. Well, you can imagine. Jack is asking Amy about her appointment and if it's going to be alright. She's upset that he can't be with her, but Denise offers to go. Obviously, this appointment is Amy's set to go and get some medication to help with her anxiety. And Callum is very conflicted from what he's seen from Denise and Ravi. In the cafe, or wait, is it in the cafe or is it in the shop? I think it's actually in the shop. The idea slips into Nisha's brain about non-monogamy and monogamy and gets particularly stressed out and jealous even. Who slips this idea in? It's our boy, Reese.
I love how awkward he was. I also love how actually,
you know, in the Arctic, they don't actually do monogamy; they do non-monogamy.
I love how Sonia basically walked up like a dog, like, "Come on, let's go, come
Reese, stop it! You've sniffed that dog's tail for 5 minutes now. He's gonna bite you." Oh, Reese. Oh, no. Oh, he's bleeding. Oh, bloody hell.
Reese is that one guy that overcomplicates everything.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying we should have an International Veg Day. But...
Nah, that's Harvey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Reese is more... what's Reese? Reese is more... Now... You can have an open marriage, but how do you do the open marriage is up to you.
But how do you make sure everybody in the marriage is satisfied? And then they'll be like, "Oh, well, I don't know." Yeah, well, you have to think about these things.
I just Reese. Oh, I hope he's in more scenes.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back soon. And Jack is wanting to get the lowdown about Ravi and who he's been meeting in the hotel. And Callum tries to kind of be like, yeah, it's no one really, but also I need the afternoon off, And Stacey is getting her burn wound that she burnt her hand on the kettle when she was trying to rush to get stuff done earlier. She's getting cleaned by Sonia and they banter back and forth. Sonia says that Carol worked several jobs when they were growing up and she turned her right. And Stacey goes, "Yeah, how old were you when you were pregnant again?" And Sonia goes, "Older than Lily."
Oh,
line of the week. Line of the week for me.
Got him.
And yeah, Stacey's still struggling with cash as Jean bumps in and says, "Hey, we're working again for Big Man Alan." Vi prepares to leave the Vic. She says goodbye to Patrick and tells Callum that she's realised that gay marriage is something to be taken seriously. So she's accepted Ben and Callum and is seemingly leaving the square for good. Let's be honest, she's never coming back to the show, is she?
I hope she does.
What's just so people can get upset about it?
Yes. No, I'd love if they give before the actress dies, they actually bring her back to die on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, but since
Like,
she's not really
when,
been a big character, I doubt she'd be given much of a send-off.
Yeah, but just to annoy the fans, give her Julia Steve as well.
And obviously, if you want to see our thoughts on Vi's exit, we made a video discussing her exit and the issue with Soapton trying to bring in older characters and having that like really loving dynamic. Go ahead and watch that video. It should be up on the channel within next week or this week. I haven't decided yet. And Eve and Sookie get back to the square, and they've clearly had a very good time. They're excited about the future together, but Sookie's desperate to know, like, is this enough? You know, like, is this enough for you? Which is very, like, you know, it's nice to see Sookie actually be allowed to give a shit. Oh, I caught you off whilst you're drinking. Bye.
What?
No, I was just saying it's nice how Sookie's actually been allowed to give a shit now. About me. Like openly, like, yeah, you know what, I actually want to take care of you. And Nish appears with flowers and whisks her home. Amy's struggling to find out why she needs pills as she isn't sick. And Denise essentially goes, hey, you should try these anti-anxiety meds for a couple months and see how it works. Alright, so Piggy, we both dealt with anxiety and depression. Should we have a little bit of a discussion about like antidepressants for anybody who's not really in the know?
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind.
I mean, I've been on antidepressants twice in my life. In about 2019, at one of my lowest, I was put on sertraline, which is a standard antidepressant. My response to it wasn't very glowing, and neither is any of the people I've heard about. Like a lot of people struggled with it, saying that you just kind of feel zombied out. So I obviously stopped taking that. But like just a couple days ago, like last Wednesday or something, I was put on mirtazapine, which is a sleep. It's like a sleep like and an anxiety. And it's been a weird thing because I'm sleeping much better, which I'm happy with. But also, I'm adjusting to it so that I know when I'm feeling anxious because I've felt it before, but it's just really subdued, so it feels weird. Anyway, what say you on antidepressant?
Can't come.
Very true. Yeah, very true. You try and you try and you try. Mate, honestly, the way not to make this bloody X-rate. But back in 2019, I've been pretty vocal. I used to work in retail before I had a breakdown. And I'd be on these antidepressants, and I'd be like, "All right, let's have a Tommy tank before we go. It'll be fine." And then you go, and then you keep going, and then you've been going at it for about 30 minutes, and you check your watch, and you're like, "I've only got like 10 minutes till I got to leave. What's the bloody point anymore?" Like, just let it happen, please. But the climax was never reached.
Oh. But yeah, I'm on sertraline. What were the ones am I on? Quetiapine. Risperidone.
Oh,
I take two Risperidone at night. I'm supposed to take 2 Quetiapine, but they give me big massive bullets, so basically it's 2, even though it's just 1.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I take sertraline in the morning, and another quetiapine in the morning.
My main question is,
And
does it actually help?
the sertraline?
Just
No,
all of it.
no, the sertraline doesn't help.
Ah.
I feel more. Recently, when I've been taking the sertraline, I've been feeling more shit.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that. That feels like the effect that everybody has with sertraline. I suppose
But
there you go.
you go ahead.
No, I'm just wrapping it up a little bit. If you have more to say about it.
Yeah, I do recommend antidepressants for people who are suffering. Obviously, it depends because for years, for people who don't know, I hear voices in my head. No, I'm not Randy Orton. Ha ha, hilarious. Haven't heard that one before. But I basically hear voices in my head. You'll probably notice that on stream when I'm streaming. And I see things that are not there. And for years, I've been telling doctors, look, I hear things that are not there. I see things that are not there. And all the doctor would do would point at me, start laughing. Well, he wouldn't actually laugh. But essentially, it was a point and laugh.
Yeah.
For when I was about 14 till just last year.
Jesus,
And then
really?
the minute I turned 18, the doctor went, yep, we can see you now. And my first doctor, he wasn't that good.
No.
Because the doctor would be like, yeah, you're depressed, but you need a goal in life. I'm depressed. But you need a goal. You can't sit around being depressed. You have to look for the future. And you're like, mate, I can't think about the future if all I can think about is getting a noose and jumping through it.
In a video game in Minecraft.
Yes, of course. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to think about the future when you're barely getting through like a day. Yeah.
But the best thing about that, in school, because I would have to bring my tablets with me. I think I had to bring my tablets with me to take them. Because I used to have to take tablets at lunch break,
Yeah.
basically. And when my friends used to go, oh, I'm feeling very sleepy, I'd go, well, I'm not supposed to, but I could nick you one to the side. And obviously, I never did.
No.
Obviously, I wouldn't. But the thought was always there. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, sleeping tablets do help. It just depends on how your body reacts to it. Because for some people's bodies, they don't react well.
Yeah.
For some, they react extremely well, and they absolutely work. They do what it says on the tin. But it just depends on who you are. You might need different sleeping tablets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was on sertraline, and sertraline was not the one for me, as it made me feel terrible. What I'm currently on is, obviously, I'm still in the adjustment period, so it's hard to tell how it'll last, like in the long run. But as of now, I'd give it thumbs up. It helps me sleep and subdues the anxiety. So that's what you want from anti-anxiety medication.
For people who want to know what it feels like to get anxiety with tablets, imagine you're a post-op trans woman and you're going to get an erection, but there is no waypoint for it to go up. That's how it feels. The anxiety rushes through, but there's no waypoint for it to hit.
Yeah.
It's kind of stuck there in the middle.
Yeah, it's like I can tell it's there because it's how I would be feeling normally, but I'm just like, it's like there's a shield in front of it. I just can't really, like, it's not like in my stomach, it's not like in my chest, like it doesn't really sit anywhere. It's just, I know it should be there, but it's just, I just don't know it's there, really. It's a weird feel.
Yes.
And
but you get used to the feeling.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit of an adjustment, because obviously the other day I was working myself up like there's no tomorrow. Just like, Jesus Christ, like, I know I should be anxious. Why am I not anxious right now? And it's like, yeah, but you are anxious though. But yeah. But and yeah, if the pills, if you do struggle with anxiety and depression and you are seeking doctor's help, just tell them that you're probably on the wrong tablets and you'll try another course and try a different type, and then hopefully things start to click into place a little bit more. Because
Okay.
my head's been a lot clearer. You know, I'm doing things, and when I I'm doing things, and when I usually get all like depressed and anxious, it doesn't hit the same. So I can still. It's just very subdued. Like my head feels a lot more level on these tablets than they would have been not. So, if that makes any sense.
To end it, I will end it on a story for
All right.
people.
All right.
So, sometimes when you go to the hospital, they redirect you to a day hospital, where basically nurses check up on you. They go, "How are you? Are you feeling suicidal?" Like they check up on you.
Yes.
And basically, you go into this room, and there's about 6, 7, 8 other people. You're all sitting around, obviously social distancing because it's a day hospital,
Yes.
unless your father or your parent or friend is with you, which is highly unlikely because they're not allowed into the building. But there was this, so we were doing we were wrapping up one of our sessions, and so they were going around. Mike, what are you doing for the weekend? John, what are you doing for the weekend? Sam, what are you doing for the weekend? To get to this fella, and I'll just call him Mike. Mike deadpans this lady. Mike directly looks. The way I described it, he directly looks in her eyes. She goes, "So, Mike, what are you going to do this weekend?" "You know what I'm going to do, love? Smoke a bit of ganja." And then she goes, "You do realize you're on medication. You can't do that." And he goes, "Just enjoy life. Smoke a bit of ganja and I'll be fine."
Big love to Mike or John. I don't remember which.
Mike.
Good up, Mike. Be like Mike.
Yeah, we should be able to qualify for medical marijuana, shouldn't we?
I mean, you're probably more likely than me.
No, they can't. They won't give me it. I want to try it.
I mean, mate, if a lot of epilepsy, if people who suffer from epilepsy can't have it, you're not getting.
But I'd love to have it.
Well, you can just get it and say it's medical.
You could.
You know?
In a video game, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. We do not endorse the smoking of drugs.
We do. We do.
Anyways, back to the show. Do we want to round that off anyway else, or is that fine?
That's fine.
All right.
Be like Mike.
Be like Mike. Callum warns Denise off of Rookvale Hotel, thus implicating that he knows that something went on to Ravi, and he essentially goes, make sure to not on just don't be on CCTV with him again, pretty much. And Nish says that he was worried about Suki out there, and she says, yeah, but we're not one of those like sickly sweet couples who send lovey-dovey texts and whatnot. As Nish discovers one of Eve's shirts in Suki's briefcase. Ooh, affair. Whoa.
Affair.
Does he realise? Yeah, I have to wait and see.
No, he doesn't.
Alan asks if Stacey. Oh Jesus! Alan asks if Stacey is a loofah lady or a sponge girl. Whoa. Go on, Piggy. Which one are you? Go on, tell me.
What?
A loofah or a sponge? Whoa.
A sponge.
Oh, I'm a loofah man. Yeah. I don't know. It was implied that it's sexual, but I don't really get it. I guess it's just maybe imagining someone rubbing themselves with it. Dirty Alan. Don't be like Alan.
don't have a tummy tug. I don't know why this is killing me. Don't have a tummy tug over the thought of someone washing themselves with a loofah or a sponge.
Indeed, Dirty Alan. And yeah, they start the next cleaning job. Denise wants to talk to Ravi and walks into Wolford. He's saying no more chats, no more sleazy banter, and essentially clues him in saying that, yeah, you're being watched, by the way. There's an investigation going on. You're being watched. And this is in turn so Jack and Denise are untouched by Ravi and Denise's little affair. And while cleaning, Stacy sees a box full of cash and basically asks Jean, should we keep it? And Jean says, like, no, look away, stop it, like, lock it up. And, you know, Jean's not interested, but Stacy's a little bit like, ooh. And Nish gives Eve's shirt back to her and finds a deal struck, as Eve uses the words, keep Sookie on a tight leash, which piques his interest. Essentially, Eve is like, hey, I can see all the leads developments if you want. You know, and I'll keep Sookie on a tight leash. And then Nish is like, yes! Yes! And Sookie is looking through the accounts as Eve texts and asks her if she's alone. Eve sends a loved up selfie of them laying together in bed, which makes Sookie very happy, but it sadly needs to be deleted. And Ravi tells her mate that he knows he's being watched and takes some delivered pizza to Denise, and Ravi starts to blackmail Denise about their little affair secret. And as Stacy and Jean re-enter the Slater house, it appears that Stacy took the money after all. Doof, 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 doof. Alright, and that was episode 10, episode number 10 of Watching Wolford. As a whole, Piggy, what do we think of the week?
Oh, that's a hard one. It was an up and down week. Obviously, the highlight of the week was Reese, obviously.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. What else was the highlight? Zach's deliveries or lines. Harvey being not a sexist, but asking where International Men's Day is.
Yeah, and everybody just being like, come on, mate. Stop taking the piss.
Yeah, that's really it. There's not many highlights of this week.
Yeah,
Two characters left.
It was a pretty rough week, I'll be honest. Like, just emotionally, it was a pretty dodgy week, because obviously we had to deal with the aftermath of Baby Peach. But otherwise, there wasn't really too many highs. Obviously, we're building towards the Denise-Ravi affair being revealed, and the Sookie and Eve storyline is actually moving ahead. But fundamentally, it wasn't that... Maybe I was just feeling a little bit worse this week, but I didn't think it was that fantastic.
No, it wasn't.
And yeah, obviously goodbye to Ash and Vi. You won't really be missed, I'll be honest. Not to be a massive dick about it, but it won't be missed.
Yeah, boy, Ash, it won't be missed.
And now, we are excluding Monday from the awards segment, as obviously Monday was a pretty hard episode, but all the other episodes are available to be chosen for our awards segment. So, which one do we want to kick off the awards segment with, Piggy?
Steve Blackman.
Okay, so we've made an adjustment to the Steve Blackman Award, because we kind of realised that it was a little bit... Basically, since we introduced the Slapping Down Award, the Steve Blackman Award kind of felt a little bit to the side. So we've decided that the Steve Blackman Award goes to the character who was the most wooden of the week. And... ooh.
Zach.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut in on yours. I'm sorry. But
No,
he's just...
we both can have the same pick. It's fine.
He just needs to tone down the acting a little bit. There's a lot of good, but then there's just when he smiles during a sad moment, which just throws me out of it completely. The underrated character award.
Can I please use Monday's episode for this one?
Yes.
The geezer.
Oh, yes. They were a good character. They served a purpose, and we didn't see him again. Yeah, I'd take that. Well, and my turn. Mine's the nurse. Because they were both integral to the week, and I suppose it kind of... I suppose the negative awards aren't applied to Monday's episode, because I'm pretty sure they were both in Monday's episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, the positive ones, yeah, the nurse and the bloke were both two very key parts of that story so far. So they both played their roles pretty well, and even with like the nice like exterior, they played it with a lot of depth. And finally, who needs slapping down?
Whitney.
Oh, Jesus. All right, go on.
No reason, just Whitney. Stop being a dick.
Who needs slapping down? Mr. Lister. He needs slapping down as he's denied someone who's just lost a child that you get 1 week of sick leave. How about that?
Also, I must say, doesn't he mention that he doesn't care about pregnant women because Beck can't get pregnant?
Yes. Yes, he does.
Which I should correct. They are working on getting them pregnant.
Very true.
Or I should clarify, they're working on getting trans women being able to carry pregnant babies.
Mm.
So that's a development.
Fingers crossed, GLGL. Good luck.
Yeah. So.
And I suppose there's no real news segments needed for this episode, as far as I think. So, with that, that's it for episode 10 of Watching Wolford. Obviously, if you have been affected by any of the issues we've discussed, helplines will be in the description. So if you do need someone to call, make sure to follow those, and hopefully they'll be what you need. But otherwise, I have been Ash, the Seal, and I've been joined by Piggy.
The sickness.
Get down with the sickness.
Ow.
Ow. But yeah, make sure to watch the pieces coming out on the channel. We will have 2 videos. We'll have Ash and Vi rating their... Well, we'll have one rating Ash Cow's exit. We'll have one rating Vi's exit. But we'll sandwich this into a opinion piece on why EastEnders and other soaps struggle to make endearing older characters. And there'll also be a opinion piece on Coronation Street coming out this week, which will be about... Let me look. It will be about Stephen Reed, the current serial killer. Essentially saying that maybe they're a bit too stuck in the past, as their betrayal of a serial killer, it's really just treading old ground. So make sure to go ahead and watch that. We've been watching Wolford. Make sure to join us next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.